Now, plans to expand grammar schools in England have come in for increasing criticism, and a new report says there's no evidence it'll raise overall standards. But where does the policy leave children in already improving comprehensives? Here's Fatima Manji.
We came off the motorway and went down a hill, and all of a sudden there was the sea.
It's an English lesson for Year 8 students at this London comprehensive. They're reading a novel exploring the themes of terrorism, racism and family dysfunction. It features 10-year-old Jamie, who ends up becoming friends with a girl from a totally different background to his own. Something students here might easily be able to do too.
He made it to his first day, and going to a school the first time was quite nerve-wracking.
This might be one of the most diverse schools in the country, and its head teacher strongly opposes the creation of more grammar schools.
If a parent has a bright child and they want to send them to a selective school, what's wrong with that?
That bright child will do just as well and be far more rounded and far more nurtured and grounded individual if they send them to the good local comprehensive. They will get just as many A's and A stars at GCSEs. What they get in a school like this is to learn how to live and work with other children of all abilities and all backgrounds, which I think gives them the edge.
His view is supported by a detailed study from the Education Policy Institute. It found that talented students perform just as well at non-selective schools as they do in grammar schools. And in the most selective areas, the poorest pupils end up with lower grades on average. At this school, 35% of pupils are on free school meals. Today's report suggests in a grammar school, the average is just 2.5%. And that strongly suggests grammar schools are not just about academic segregation, but also social segregation.
There's a real risk that the group that will lose out most from extra grammar schools, particularly in those areas, according to our research, that has a lot of grammar schools already, is the poorest groups. Those are youngsters who disproportionately fail to get into grammar schools because they fall behind often before they even get into school. And even those that appear to be doing quite well at age 11 and ought to be selected into grammar schools don't seem to get through the tests.
It's evidence that flies in the face of the Prime Minister's plans. She said the working class need more great schools and wants to overturn the ban on selection.
For we know that grammar schools are hugely popular with parents. We know they are good for the pupils that attend them, and we know that they want to expand.
Supporters say quotas could be used to make sure poorer children get places.
Grammar schools are good for social mobility because they allow pupils that have the ability to study at grammar schools the access to a similar quality of education as those that can afford the public school system. Public schools dominate many of the professional sectors, and I think it's right that everyone in the country that has the ability has the same access to those sectors too.
The battle for the grammar schools is not over yet.
That was back in 1976, when existing grammars were resisting being turned into comprehensives.
We think that time is on our side, as we think, of course, public opinion is on our side.
The government has insisted there will be no return to the past.
So I'm afraid we shall have to stop.
But its critics say this policy is fuelled by nostalgia instead of evidence, which clearly shows the gaps between poor and rich children could get wider.